There you go.
Good evening. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen, Tuesday, October 15th, 2024 at 6 p.m. being held here at the Town Hall, 108 Main Street in Falls Village. It's in person and on Zoom. Prior to us beginning tonight, I would ask all to stand and remove your hats, please. We'll take a moment of reflection for those affected by storms Helene and Milton. I'd also ask you to include one of our longtime residents here who just passed away, Amelia Wright, who certainly in her time here in Falls Village, 35 years over at Camp Isabella Freedman, certainly was part of the fabric of this town. I think everyone knew who she was. Thank you. Just a couple additions to the agenda. And I would like to add 7M, which was the Housatonic Heritage Walk held on 10/01/24. Could I have a motion to add that to our agenda?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. And N as in Nora, grants to the Registrar of Voters. I'd like to include that. Did I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of, public comment.
That was so fast.
Mr. Public.
Stephen Koshland, Music Mountain Road. I wanted to again ask a little bit about the tree issue. Tim, nothing to do with you. I just more want to say that I wanted to know if we have an inventory of trees that you can take it down. I did talk to a local forester, and he said that the trees along the roadways of the 30 miles of roads, we're looking at potentially 5,000 trees that would need to come down. And that's just a little unnerving if we need to find the budgetary needs or the time for your crew to do that. I wanted to know how many trees were taken down this year so far, or how many even in the last month. I wanted to know the scope of the work ahead of the amount of the removals. And I wanted to get a list of the roadways of the town's responsibility for those trees. I also, can we maybe take like 5 of the roads and look at it in a smaller scale and look at the trees maybe in that section or on that thing to get a better scale of what we're looking at overall. And I just want to make sure we're forward thinking. It is under the purview of the selectmen and their budget. I just want to make sure we're being ahead with all these budgetary concerns in the community, that we're making sure that you guys have enough money to be able to do this. And tied into that, I did want to mention that the town of Morris has what's called a community wood bank. So the town crew, when they take down the trees, they process them and put them in a big pile, and residents in Morris can come and take it. We can figure out, there's lots of different systems to what a community wood bank could look like, but it might even become a beneficial thing if we know what we're dealing with, know what we need to take down or what we have to, and then we can actually maybe even find a place within our community and help someone with some home heating that may need it within the community. So I wanted to mention that was in the Waterbury Republican in September.
I do believe that the Conservation Commission has that on. They take care of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've been working on that.
Perfect. I think that's super cool. I also wanted to bring up again about the internet at the transfer station. And I know that there was a proposal done last year in September for Frontier to like do all the municipal buildings, and the transfer station was part of it. And that was only like $469 a month for a 36-month package. So I just wonder why all of a sudden the transfer station became this huge number when you were getting a whole bunch for a lesser price even, so I wanted to ask about.
Let me get that package to you to explain it a little bit more. Regarding, and I just have to find that, Steve.
Okay, I
that
have
are made.
here, so we can go over it at some point later, that's
Okay.
that's when I sort of read through it, so I wanted to get a better understanding of that. And last but not least, I just wanted to bring up the idea of a town manager again. But maybe we come up with a different term for it. North Canaan calls it the assistant to the Board of Selectmen. So maybe there's another way to conceive this role as a tool to sort of help the town and help you guys in your role achieve goals that the community needs and give it the attention necessary. So thank you.
Thank you. Steve, I would only ask, regarding the trees, you have a great deal of information there about the trees, and I tried to write it down as you were going along. If you could condense that, perhaps send it to me via email, and we will share it with our DPW manager.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Greg Marlowe, thank you for joining. The kind of the same subjects I brought up for a few months now, and thankfully Michelle helped me pointing out to some of the line items where we have a plan. So let's just talking about the long-term plan for our accounts that we save towards to get something more all together in one spot where we can all see it. And there was definitely a lot up there, mostly from the fire, the fire trucks and ambulance and the services. But is there, so I guess I want to say this, I don't want to keep asking about it, I want to be that nudge. It's important to me. And I would just like a positive declaration that yes, it can be taken care of, or a negative declaration to thank you for your concern. It's not important to us at this time. We have other things that are taking a priority, which is fine. But it would just be good to know. So, I mean, I feel like every month I'm coming up and saying it, and I don't want to come across that way. It's just something that was very important to me, along with the job descriptions, which Dave and we go back a long time, and I know you're working on it. So, if it maybe gets onto agenda so that I don't have to keep saying it, if it's something that wants to be moved forward, and if it doesn't, that's okay too.
Well, I would say Rome wasn't built in a day, but that's an old hackneyed expression, Greg. I would tell you that I know the addition of our QuickBooks here and us working through that and working through that new system. It's my hope that we'll be able to streamline some of this. As you know, the non-recurring capital accounts, we know how much is going in each account each month or each year, excuse me, how much is going in. We've long had that broken down. And a matter of fact, that goes back to the 90s to provide transparency. A long-term plan, this would be something we need to speak with. I know that DPW, for instance, has a long-term plan. I don't think we'll ever have enough money to cover a new truck. You deal in trucks, the prices go up exponentially.
And that's really the driver of my concern, is no equipment, and I can only imagine that fire apparatus is astronomical. I'm sure it's gone up as much or more than what
I'm thinking right now, so dealing with
that's behind my concern is that we're not going to have enough, especially when we take the year off that we get for COVID, and then we reduce this
by 15%.
So it's just that's where I'm coming from and why it's important.
Well, I discussed a little offline with the chairman of the Board of Finance regarding that. So we'll see where we go with that. And I do want to say that it is important. I don't want to say, yeah, okay, but it's something that I think we'll be working through as we refine our reports.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Denise Cohn, as taxpayer, citizen, not as recording secretary. Following up on what Stephen said about the town manager, there's a lot of confusion as to what the town manager would do, and basically you can have it position be anything you want. It can help with budget prep, it can oversee finances, it can work with all the commissions and save a ton of money if you cost savings and apply for grants. The position basically pays for itself. And saves the town a lot of money and gets a lot of things done, faster. But, so it's basically an open-ended position, and I think we're not so, it's not the small town excuse doesn't work, because we're also held by the same guidelines and statutes and laws and everything else that all the other towns are. But speaking of grants, I know the grant volunteer group has sent probably 40 grants out. Have any been applied for or looked into or inquired or?
I can say that from where I sat, my desk, I've looked into probably 11 or 12 of them. Several have been applied for.
What's several?
Okay, the AARP grant.
Okay,
One of the grants happened to be that micro grant that we had received.
Yeah.
That was way back. That's the other one I applied for. The other one was the cybersecurity one
mhm.
that has been applied for. So I can speak to those three that I personally applied for, and two of them, one of them we received. As you know, we've had a micro grant, and it was a big success up at the grade school with the bike ride and roll day.
No road back on cyber grant.
Nothing back on the cyber grant yet, only that they received it.
Okay, are they being shared and looked into, and, because that's a lot, it's
A lot.
millions of dollars.
A number of them are shared with people such as the Rec Commission, and a lot of them, as you know, we don't even qualify for. Okay, there's a number of them. So when you look into them and look a little bit further, I can tell you probably if we need anything, and we kind of discussed this earlier, maybe we just need a grant writer.
Typically not, but
Okay,
anyway,
and you know, you've worked with nonprofits. I've worked with nonprofits, and they have, hired grant writers. So, but we'll leave that discussion actually for the end, because we made that as one of our discussion points on the agenda.
great, thank you. I don't see any messages in chat.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the pending minutes. I'll take them each individually. Approval of the minutes of September 9th, 2024, the regular meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carried. The special meeting on September 25th, the first meeting that we had with the transfer station manager. I'll take a motion to accept those.
You wanna do it?
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Which date is that? I'm sorry.
September 25th. We actually had two meetings on the 25th.
Can I ask you guys to stop for just a minute? It looks like everything is frozen here, so nobody can hear. Would you mind texting Erin and seeing if she can hear? Because it doesn't look like anything's on here. Sorry.
You've been having trouble with internet, okay?
So
We tried this morning.
Yeah, so a lot of people talk about that.
But you could call.
We have trouble with telephones.
He denied it.
Real.
Okay, so Erin says she can see, but no one can hear, and I think this computer,
Says she can hear, but can't see.
I think it's
As long as
frozen,
I can hear, we're good.
but it's not recording. It's not.
It's not.
It's not recording. We have to have a recording of the.
Oh.
It's audio, not video.
Mhm.
But this is
Sorry.
frozen. I mean, I can shut it down and restart it, or
I would move that we continue the meeting.
She says it's recording from her end.
okay, I'll work on it on this side.
No red thing on the owl.
No,
Can you get the connection?
no, this whole computer is frozen. The arrows don't work, nothing works.
Right. Well, we'll move along with the meeting here in person.
Okay,
Okay. I think as we've had during storms and so forth, we've lost connectivity, so we continued with the meeting. So, do you have the first September 25th meeting
Chris and Judy, that was the transfer station.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
The
Right.
second meeting on September 25th, 2024, special meeting at Sand Hill Cemetery with our sexton.
Do we, we gotta vote on this one first, Dave.
Yes.
All in favor for?
We did.
Oh, no, I didn't,
Oh,
you
okay.
didn't, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I just wrote
All
down
in
who
favor?
did.
Aye.
Okay, the second September 25th one.
So,
All in favor?
aye.
And the October 2nd special meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We do not have a treasurer's report. So I'm gonna table the any discussion of the treasurer's report until next month. I don't know if you received the tax collector's report. She just sent it out this afternoon.
I haven't seen
Oh, have it over there. Do I have a motion to receive the tax collector's report?
So moved.
it. Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay, motion carries. Communications. The one communication that we have is from the new superintendent of Region 1. And this comes in light of the problems that they had in several towns surrounding us, one of them, the closest being Torrington, having to do with threats. And I'm just not going to read this in its totality, but it's a letter that was sent out to families, staff, and all for selectmen. It speaks of their proactive efforts, reporting any imminent harm or danger, social media and cell phone again. Okay. Just quickly, we had a meeting of the constables the other evening, last Thursday, 10:10. Just to review a few things and get some sizes for vests and hats. I think we're going all for extra large. I don't know if any of you noticed DOT signage. They have put several new signs along Route 126, heading west, approaching Route 7. 35-mile-an-hour signs have been put back up. The Route 7 sign that was down for quite some time has been put back up. And there's a triangular sign that has also been put up, warning that 35 miles ahead. I'm not sure if that will mitigate any of the problems. We're still in discussions with DOT as how to best mitigate accidents in that area. I don't have an answer right now, but we're still discussing it with them. Town meeting, all questions that were put on the agenda were all passed. I just want to now move to M, if you will. And we added to our agenda. Forgive me for a minute. Seven M, the Historic Heritage Walk on 10/01/24 had somewhere in the area of 20 to 25 people.
Well, we had about 32.
32. You can't trust Patrick Sullivan to report those. Is he on there?
Well, there was 25 that signed our guest.
Okay, that's where we drew the number of 25. Okay, my apologies. I just have to say here, I didn't know we had, I guess somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew how much history we had here in the center of town, but never really paid attention to it. And I've got to say that, not because she's here, not to patronize her, but Judy and Bill Beebe did, with help from Caitlin Jenkins, did an outstanding job. And I would really like to know how many people were non-residents who showed up.
Quite a few. I had no idea who they were.
Right.
Yeah.
Just came in,
Yeah.
but it got some really nice press coverage. And again, kudos. It really made our town look old. It did share some of the history. And hopefully, from what I heard, next year's walk should be even better. And it was a beautiful day. Get out there. I also want to bring up that thank you to our registrar of voters, both registrars. I've got to say they've picked up 2 grants, one for $5,000 and one for $2,000, which will help us with the early voting. So kudos to them. One is from the state and one is from Center for Tech and Civic Life. So thank you to them. And that concludes this Selectmen's report. Old business, 35 Railroad Street. We will have a meeting tomorrow. Next Thursday.
Thursday's been changed.
Okay, have to check. But we'll be having another meeting. Economic development, we really don't have any update.
Well, it depends if you want to talk about the cafe.
Well, I can tell you the cafe, economic development, now we're up to 17 different inquiries. Now, a number of those people have called and, had changed their mind, but there's a core that is still very, very interested in North showing them the space.
Particularly very interested, so it's going to work out well.
I have another phone call for you. So, the Affordable Housing Plan Task Force, I would like to have a separate meeting about that with the Board of Selectmen and see how we can get that all back together. So that we'll put that on an agenda when we're covering one of our other things. Like I say, the cemetery with the cemetery section, I think is going to take us a great deal of time to, in fact, go over all those rules and regulations and sift them all out. So that's that. New business, tax rebates and consideration of approval list. I have just one this evening from our tax collector. And that is a that's where it comes down. That would be an amount of all total $1,054.09 to Stephanie Ashton. So I will take a motion to sign off on that and
So moved.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Northwest Connecticut Affordable Housing and Conservation Collaboration Strategy. I hope you all, well, we had spoke earlier, everyone having gotten a chance to read it over. And I just want to read the resolution of support. Northwest Connecticut Affordable Housing and Conservation Collaboration Strategy. From February to September 2024, representatives from town boards of selectmen, planning and zoning commission, conservation organizations, and housing organizations in 8 Northwest Connecticut communities as part of a project to build capacity for cross-sector collaboration. This group included one or more representatives from the town of Canaan. Might I add, we actually had 3 representatives. They were Greg Marlowe from P&Z, Tracy Atwood from the Falls Village Housing Trust, and myself went to all of these meetings. Whereas the participants in the Northwest Connecticut Affordable Housing and Conservation Collaboration Strategy agreed on the common purpose statement that healthy communities need both affordable housing and conserved land. Cross-sector and regional collaboration among town governments, housing organizations, and conservation organizations is vital to achieving our affordable housing and conservation goals. And whereas the participants identified points of alignment in their goals, as well as strategies and tools to pursue these aligned goals as outlined in a strategy report dated September 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Canaan Board of Selectmen hereby supports this collaboration strategy and will make its best efforts to implement the strategies outlined in this report. Do I have a motion for the Board of Selectmen to sign off on this?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So I would ask for your signatures on this resolution.
One more, and it's down to those.
So the motion is to sign up on the attached resolution, and I'll just attach that?
You know what, to make a Xerox copy of that
Yeah.
and then attach it, and I will date it just when
Is that what you want the motion to say?
it's
Okay, thank you.
dated this 15th day of October 2024. Thank you. Our code of ethics. I know that this has been tossed around for several months. And we've looked at it collectively. And we look at what was put forward in the early 2000s. And we had several Board of Selectmen sign off on it. I have to be perfectly transparent with this in saying that in reviewing ones from other towns, reviewing the template put out by CCM and put out by, I should say, the Connecticut Council of Municipalities, or suggestions from them, as well as the COG. I don't think that we are going to find anything better than this particular code of ethics. I'm going to read what I'm going to ask for us to sign off on this evening. Code of Conduct and Procedures. And this was actually drafted under Lawson's administration back in the 90s when he was first selectman. And I think it still holds true now. The town of Canaan Falls Village requires that the Board of Selectmen be independent, impartial, and responsible to the town's citizens. The public judges its government in part by the way the officials of the board conduct themselves in the position for which they are elected. People have the right to expect that the members of the Board of Selectmen will conduct themselves in a manner that will preserve the confidence and respect for the government which they represent. This confidence and respect can be achieved and promoted if members of the Board of Selectmen adhere to the following. Treat all citizens with courtesy, impartiality, fairness, and equality under the law. Avoid both actual and potential conflicts between their private self-interest and the interest of the public. Keep the community informed on town affairs. Encourage communication. Seek to improve the quality and image of public service. Recognize that the function of local government is to serve the best interests of its community. Such conduct is meant to preserve the rights of everyone and to assure cooperation. Such conduct requires common sense, good judgment, and acceptable interpersonal conduct. This preceding code is to serve as a guide and not intended to be an all-inclusive list. It is hoped that other boards, commissions, public officials, and town employees would consider adopting this as a model. Under Connecticut general statutes, the town of Canaan Falls Village legislative authority, including the power to adopt spending plans, is vested in the town meeting. Enforcement and compliance to town meeting resolutions and town ordinances, accountability for disbursement of drafts against the town treasury, and the administration of various municipal plans and operations are the responsibility of the three-person Canaan Falls Village Board of Selectmen. The board's decisions, resolutions, and orders are adopted following its deliberations and debates by majority vote. Each selectman has one vote, none has veto power. The Board of Selectmen pledges its best efforts to conduct its deliberations and debates with respect towards its members and will adhere to the principles of parliamentary debate. The first selectman, as the agent of the Board of Selectmen, is duty bound to carry out the board's lawful orders and, in general, implement the will of the board. Adopted by the Board of Selectmen, and there's 3 places for our signatures and the date.
So you need a motion to
Adopt this,
adopt the code of ethics.
which we already have in place for the town, but what I'm asking for is for us as a board to sign it.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? Here's my discussion. I think this is a good thing. I think that I had looked at a number of other codes of ethics from across the state, and they were all great, but I think that this truly is emblematical of the spirit of the town of Canaan Falls Village. And I think when it was drafted, and I believe it was Pete Lawson and Lou Timlot, both very respected members of our community, I think they had in mind that this would serve our town well. So I will sign it. Dated this 15th day of October 2024. And I would like to thank the citizens, the residents of the town for giving us their support in this endeavor to have a code of ethics. We have a winner. Okay.
Yes. Okay, what works? No. So we know what's slide in. Try this one. Random with all these court happenings going on, that making a staple, sorry.
Oh, oops. So I know where it goes. Okay. On to some discussion points. Solar project committee.
Nothing new to report there, Dave.
Chris, we're running out of sun.
And
Summer's gone. We're into the fall. We're going in winter. We're gonna run out of sun. No.
we'll find something to do during the solar committee.
Okay. Bridge and infrastructure committee update.
We're still waiting on correspondence from both the engineers that we have out there. A few things came up. A resident has requested that the lines at the stop signs be refreshed. If that's something we can do. Also, the need for lighting, a lighting upgrade.
At the senior center.
At the
In fact, I
senior
was
center.
speaking with Teresa today about that.
And one other thing that we noticed at our walkthrough at the the transfer center was the need for some of the buildings to be painted. So those are some things that we're gonna look at. We'll get on the agenda for our next bridge and infrastructure committee.
And valley restoration will be started.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
right. Thank you.
Yep. Roof repair at the senior center. Okay.
Once
Yeah.
we get the roof fixed, then we can do some other things.
That's gonna be on Halloween. They're starting to work on Halloween day, so.
Yeah,
So it'll be the constable's job to keep them off the roof.
yeah.
Keep the trick or treaters off the roof.
Yeah.
We did, Judy and I met with, the guy from Paul from Valley, on Saturday morning and, I told him that, it's vital that everything is secured by the end of the day.
And I did find out it's not gonna interfere with the register of voters up there, early voting. So we're all set.
Thank you for the work you've done on it.
Yes.
Okay, discussion, town manager. Just so you know, there's 169 towns, which are probably new in the state of Connecticut. 109 have town managers. 60 are statutory towns. One of the things that we need in order to move to a town manager, or if we had wanted to go to a town manager, is change from a statutory town to a charter town, and then write the charter. Unless we call it something else. But we are currently a statutory town. So, again, suggestions have been made regarding calling it something else, but directly from the legislature, town manager cannot be in a non-chartered town in Connecticut. Connecticut's home rule acts, okay? Allows you to adopt your own charter. I just want to go back to the late '90s, if memory serves me correct, and I would have to look back, and it just occurs to me that I believe this came up at a town meeting before and was resoundingly voted down. But I will look back and see, find out when it is. Maybe someone in here has better memory than I do. Okay. Any other business come before the board of selectmen? Do you have anything?
No.
No. I just want to extend my thanks to both of you, all right, for what you've been doing out there between showing the property at 107, getting some of the infrastructure aligned, and so on and so forth. It is much appreciated when a lot of this is shared, and I appreciate both of your expertise in your respective areas, because it really helps to fill out our job, our mission here of serving the residents of the town.
Oh, Bishop, thank you.
Sure, thank you. Any public comments?
Carmel Barber. I guess there's been a lot of talk, not just tonight, about the town manager. And I just seeing the town that we are and all the wonderful volunteers on our separate committees. I think we all work really well together. Denise brought up grants, and again, it's come up at other meetings. Maybe, a grant committee, but I think a grant writer is something more in line. And, there's thousands of dollars out there. I think, to ask one person to do that with everything else, I think we should be looking for a grant writer, maybe.
Can I comment on that?
You're not the public, but
There, Eileen and I have had this discussion many times, and I think I finally was able to make my point pretty clear, without breaking anything, but, no, I think the return on investment would absolutely benefit the town, for a professional grant writer. I don't have time to fumble through paper and try and figure it all out, and I really don't.
We need to know.
Right, and to allow, the potential, income from grants to go away because it's really don't have time right now, and or the interest maybe even to go through all that paperwork. I think the town could benefit. I think I would like to see us get a creative way to.
well, I'm going to look to my right here and say, we're getting into budget season again. I'll be asking, correct, Michelle will be asking in another couple of weeks for all of our departments to put their budgets together, and perhaps we need to look at somewhere, some line that we could actually look at doing something like that. So again, it might be, we'll put that on our proposed spending plan.
Sounds good to me.
I apologize. One last thing while we're still in public comment. October, we got the notification here, October 22nd and 23rd, next week. I will be attending the Connecticut DOT Local Traffic Authority 101 class. So upon completing that 2-day training, I will officially be the local traffic authority. Hopefully, if I pass. I don't know what this all means, but, I'm sorry, I need to add that, add that aside, I meant to, add it, I didn't have a note.
I have a comment, just before you adjourn. The code of ethics has been talked about for a really long time, and I know that one, there's been a couple since that one that have been signed by the town of Canaan. But the newer code of ethics, this one just applies for you three. There's no how it's going to be enforced, and for the other commissions and the town employees, it's not very inclusive, but only just for the three selectmen.
Well, we start with the three selectmen, much like we started with the civility pledge. And if you remember, if you read in the verbiage, there is our hope to extend that to the other boards and commissions.
Yes, but how's it enforced and all of that stuff? Like the town of Salisbury don't have all that. I'm just saying, is there gonna be more than just this?
Right now, and again, I think don't want to speak for my two colleagues here, but I think at this point in time, it's very important that we sign this one. We've talked about this for such a long time. And I think this particular one, after reviewing a number of them, and no one's read more code of ethics than I have in my lifetime, I can speak to that. I think this really does capture what we've done here and what we hope to do. Anybody on Facebook?
No.
Facebook. Sorry, on Zoom.
Not me.
Okay. And in that case, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you very much, everyone.
Did you second that?
Hi, Carol.
Hi,
Hi. It's call meeting to order at 7 p.m. And we have John, Steve, myself, and you, Carol.
I'm here.
Yeah, Tom's not going to make it this evening, and neither Carl. I haven't heard from Amy. She may. So no alternates. We do have a quorum, so public comment.
Or public comment at the end, that's right.
Yes, yes. We got both. Okay, seeing none. Any agenda amendments? Anything else to add? Well, I shared with the board communications. We had received one, and I think I just threw that through now, was the request from the town clerk for the annual report. Do you need me to read this?
No.
Yeah, okay, so we'll be working on the town report request. I think I'm gonna defer. I know Amy signed off on it last year, and I need to prove to see. We'll work on drafting one and I'll share it with everyone before we send something off. I also received the communication from the Board of Ed collective bargaining communication that came through from Sam Parrish, as well as an enrollment shift assessment. And I believe both of those were, you had both of those? Those were attached. There was going to be the updated student enrollment, and it shifts. And I'm still familiarizing myself, and I'm looking through patterns because I was still familiarizing myself with understanding the assessments. So it does make sense as it goes along. Any questions? No. Right. And there's Amy. I'm just going through the communications, and Carol is on too. And the last was, I did include the email that Andrea had responded, so everyone could see in regards to the Board of Finance, we asked the, fire commission and the fire department to join us. That's what I have for written. Is there any other written communication? Not a minute, okay. Any oral communication? I do not have any. Secretary's report,
I'll make a motion to approve the secretary's report of September 9th, 2024.
Second.
I'm gonna add to the comment, to the discussion and just have a change to the old business.
That's an amendment.
There's a change to the
Minutes.
minute.
So there's an amendment to,
Yeah. In old business, which was doing for old business A, I believe, Amy, you moved to invite fire commission. John stated it. And you made the motion to move.
Amy made the motion. I don't remember.
I had to I had to watch it again.
Okay, thanks.
Any other,
Okay, we've got a motion from Amy and Steve to receive the minutes, and then you amended the motion.
So I'll amend my motion to include the amendment that you've made. So you'll second my amended motion?
Second.
Yeah, okay. Does that do it?
all those,
Yeah, we just need everyone.
yep, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And on the original motion to accept the secretary's report as amended,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Can I ask a question about, because I'm sorry I was late, but on one of the communications, the one from Sam, the email from Sam,
Yes,
I feel, I'm not sure, but in the second paragraph, is that the projected assessment based on the shift in enrollment assume a 0% increase? Or is that a typo? Because he makes examples of everything with a 1% increase, so does anybody know? If you don't, it's fine.
I do not. Yes,
Yeah, there was a memo.
Yeah.
From Stan.
Yeah.
That says, that you should assume a 0% increase in all three areas of the budget.
For what you have, for what you were given, what he said, what Sam said to you, assumes a 0% increase from the 23-24 fiscal year
To the
to the
2024.
24-25 fiscal year. The chances that there will be a 0% increase.
He doesn't talk about it chances.
Well, I know.
it's saying projected, adjustment.
Yeah, it's based on a 0% increase. We don't know that that's what it's going to be for fiscal year.
Okay,
25, 26.
and so
Okay.
this is just what if? The 1% increase that he talks about is just a what if?
That's what it will look like if
Yes,
there is no, if we have no increase in the budget.
and if we did, if there was, there would be a 1%, so use.
Because he gives
10.
examples
To
of
use-
1% increase here.
He gives examples.
It's based on, that's based on change. That is based on the change of enrollment, the shift in enrollment. If you look at what you were given, you will see that the shift in enrollment
Mhm.
from November 1st of 2023 to the enrollment in 2024 on November 1st. That's what we have to go on. That's how it's allocated. Okay? That's the percentage we pay, whatever the budget ends up being.
So all these numbers in the second column of 24-25 are based on a 1% increase? I mean, or are these actual numbers?
Those, let's see if we can tell.
I'm sorry, it
That's
was confusing to me. If no one else is confused, I can take this out of the meeting.
First, let's just look at the high school. The enrollment last year for us, for the town came with 23. The enrollment for our next fiscal year, which is coming up, is 29.
Right.
That changes our total percentage of payment.
Our share.
Our share, correct. So he's basing that on no increase at all from what we have right now.
No increase in expenses, only an
Expenses.
increase in enrollment.
That's right.
Ah, thank you.
Okay.
So
I
we
get
will-
it now.
Saving this, Amy, for when we do the vote. If,
Yeah.
as a reference point, they're gonna include it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
She just clarified it. One was an increase in expenses, one is an increase in enrollment. You have to take both into account when you're looking at the share. Yeah, got it.
Right, and remember the
Thank you.
share from high school is different. than the
I'm so sorry.
share
Yeah,
From the still see and two share.
great. Sorry if I was the only one confused.
Thank you. I did, in regards to the finance, the treasurer's tax, assessors and board of ed, I was proposing that we move those, discussion and approval to a special meeting towards the end of the month. And instead, we have a planned discussion for today, so I would think in the interest of time, we hold, planned discussion next, if we're all in agreement.
Can we instead, just switch the order if you like? And if we don't have time to get to our reports, then just an idea. I don't know how long
It's really
it'll
up-
be.
It's really, I mean, I'm in favor of holding a special, but I will open to all of us.
Do we have to make a motion for that?
Yes, I would like to.
So have you made are you making a motion right
I
now?
have not made a motion. I will.
Entertain a motion?
I will entertain one, or I will move.
I'll move to postpone consideration of all the treasurer and other financial reports until a special meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, Carol, yeah.
Further discussion?
Yeah, I would say that I would appreciate it, not just because we have other items, but also because we'd love a chance to digest what we got recently. So, well, thanks for suggesting that.
All those in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Selectmen.
Selectmen's report. Any interest of time? Just to go over a few things here, that would affect you directly. Just want to point out that we adopted the Code of Ethics this evening. If you care to have a copy of that and to review it for your particular board, I am more than willing to share that with you. Just a couple other things that would really affect you is the Code of Ethics. We Northwest Connecticut Affordable Housing and Conservation Collaboration Strategy. We signed a resolution supporting that. And probably most importantly, thanks to our registrar of voters who applied for 2 different grants, one for $5,000 and one for $2,000. So a total of $7,000 will be coming to the registrar of voters line for early voting, to help with early voting.
Move the grant.
Those were both grants. One was from the state and the other one was, just in a moment, Civic Life, it was called.
Do we have to at some point adjust the revenue lines for that? And then also the expense line related to that at some point in time?
We do have a line for early voting. Okay, and we do have a line for grants. We just completed one grant that we had which was the micro grant that I talked about, that went for the bicycle safety up at the school, and we spent every penny of that $5,000. So now we can reapply. But that was a separate line that you approved, if you remember, under the selectmen's budget.
Okay, so when the time comes, you'll let us know when, if we have to do the same thing.
Right.
Okay.
Just one last thing, Madam Chairman, if I may, before we get going this evening, and it's not on the agenda per se, but I would just like to say that our state statutes provide for an elected executive authority. In this particular case, in this town, it is the Board of Selectmen. All operations of town government, all departments report to the executive authority, again, being the Board of Selectmen. There's a process. The process is a department gives an estimate of their expenditures. The Board of Selectmen reviews. After analysis, the Board of Selectmen either adopts, lowers, raises requests. The Board of Selectmen then sends forward the proposed spending plan as a request for funding to provide for the operation and welfare of the town. The board is responsible for requesting funding and participating in discussion and answering questions. Again, all departments report to the Board of Selectmen, and the requests go to the Board of Finance. I guess the best way to put it is, with the executive authority, the buck stops here. So again, we're letting you know that before we enter into these discussions this evening with the different departments. Understand that even the fire department is in fact a contracted service for the town. You may think of a contract as us writing a contract and getting money back and forth and paying them and so forth. No, under the state statute, we have a contract, either written, verbal, or implied, with the fire department. So I just wanted to make that point prior to starting these discussions.
Thank you. Thanks.
No questions. I would tend to agree with your position on that myself. But we'll, see what kind of questions people have, I guess.
I have one question.
Mhm.
Would it, is our meetings, our monthly meetings, a proper place for this, or since this is strictly an informational, having these departments come, we can make we can make a suggestion, but we can't tell them what to do. Would it be better to have it considered a workshop on a weekend day, and get a couple of them together, rather than handicap our meetings? How's the rest of you?
It's an interesting proposal thing. For the sake of discussion, since no one chimed in there, I would tend to, I've been thinking about this a lot too. And I would tend to say that we have to stay in our lane to a certain extent. Where our job is mainly to protect against fraud and waste and abuse. And we depend on the executive department of our town to answer our questions about different expense areas. And if they don't have the answers, to get them for us. I mean, it's the way it generally works in, organizations and businesses. And my feeling is if we were to have a question about a specific department or line, that there are two ways we can go about it. One, as individuals on our board, we can always go to the person in town who works there or a department head and say, hey, can you help me understand a little bit more? That's one way, and people have done that. Other ways are to direct questions not specific ones, but more broad ones about, is this being done well? Can it be done more efficiently? What are the pros and cons of the two? And then the selectman either has the answer or they go and get it. Ours is not to quote, understand that. I don't think it's our job to understand the kind of nitty gritty about running the public works department or the town pool or the fire department or those kinds of things. I do think that we have to depend more on our executive branch, but I do think it's great to learn more. Like, for instance, the Board of Education, they have budget workshops and we are always invited to listen in. And I've learned a lot from that. That's a very different kind of budget. This one, if, we want to learn more, I think there are different ways of going about it than using our meeting time as you're suggesting. So I'm just going to build on your question about the use of meeting time.
Just, I wanted to get some input from.
It's just something I've been thinking about.
I think the only thing I'm interested in, and it's just my lack of knowledge, I have a general idea, but I think I'd like to use this time, a little bit of education more than, I know there's a fire commission and there's a fire department. And I know they work collaboratively. So I'm just kind of, looking for, and I'm probably not the only one in town who doesn't necessarily understand the difference and how our money is being spent and how it's being used. And it's not specifics as much as understanding, if we have a budget, what is it used for? How does it go? Where does it go? We're supporting because the fire department, because they are supporting us. I guess I sit on that side of it too. Obviously everybody has their own budget and personal budget, and we have a town budget and we have a state budget and the federal budget. And the question is the money, is everything being used appropriately? But to your point, I'm not going to disagree that it is under the selectmen's purview too.
Yeah, I certainly have questions. I'm always interested in understanding a department's tension points, and like that kind of thing. What do you feel you could do better? Where do you struggle the most? That kind of thing. But again, I do think that you need to get us. If you have this working relationship with all these departments, that's not our job. That's not what I signed up for. But I, also want to learn.
We do to also as a finance to support.
And I think it is to. That is a good question. What can we do to support, other budgets? I think a better understanding of it, but where, I'm not sure where our understanding is weakest, maybe. It was interesting seeing, some of the little bit of the financials that we got, but it didn't really tell me anything I didn't already kind of understand, basically. I don't know.
Since this was my idea, I guess I should say something. Yes, you are the executive authority in town, but we are independent of you, and we are the ones who make the recommendations to the town about how much to spend and what to spend it on. So we can't delegate that responsibility to the Board of Selectmen. Now, the reason that, and on Steve's point, I don't really care if we do it at a regular meeting or if we do it on a Saturday meeting. We have regular meetings. I don't think these are going to be long discussions. It's a way to get our work done without scheduling more meetings and having people take more time out of their private life. But on the substance, we, in the course of preparing the budget for the town last year, all agreed we didn't know very much about what the various departments did. We were given information from the Board of Selectmen and we looked at it, but I think it was pretty much unanimous, at least with respect to some of the departments. We really didn't know what was going on so well. So the idea was to educate ourselves, as Ginger suggested. That's the purpose of this. It's just to educate ourselves, because ultimately we have to decide how much we're going to recommend to the town to spend for a particular department and on a particular line. That's our job. That's not the selectmen's job. And in order to do that well, I think we should know what's going on in the departments more than we do. Now, it could be with some of the departments, we know just about everything we need to. In others, different. But that was the reason for doing this.
Are we open to,
Well, you're on that agenda item.
yeah, I'm
It's on the agenda, so.
Andrea, as you reached out to me,
Okay, so I'm
just trying to give us a. overview.
Andrea Jones, I'm the president of the fire department currently. So Dave Seating serves as our chairman of the fire commission, which is a separate from our fire department in a more executive format. And I think it might make sense for Dave to answer some questions around their budget and for Matt Hanson to answer some whatever questions you have about the department and the way that we function, or what are some of the things that we have to spend our money on as far operationally. So, but I think it would be a little better, Dave has a little bit that he wants to say, but I think it'd be better if you had specific questions, if you ask those questions, and then we can tailor our responses to the questions that you have.
Okay, then. Budget very sure.
Now.
Yeah.
Oh, we budget very carefully in February and based on the previous year or years and anticipated expenditures and try to guess at where prices are going. So our budget already is pretty well thought out, pretty well planned. And every month we get or not every month, every quarter, I guess, the information on what's been budgeted and where we are and what we have left to spend on whatever item. And usually we do pretty well. We try to keep the bottom line pretty close. Some things we use monthly, like electricity and all those things. Some things like truck maintenance will have a chunk of the money still there until like April or May when the trucks go out for service and testing and all that. Other than that, it's kind of where we're at. So any questions or I don't know how much you know about our budget.
And that's the fire
Commission. There's,
commission budget.
yep,
And-
and we meet once a month.
And your responsibility is what compared to the departments?
And let me just put my sheet here. I'll just go through the line items. New equipment. So we have any major purchases for the trucks or opening firefighters or those kind of things.
So equipment.
And a lot of times that may not get spent till later on when we figure out what we need and where we're at, and again trying to keep the bottom line so we're not gonna we never quite know what's gonna happen with equipment maintenance or some other things. And those are required, the DOT pump inspections, the pump testing and maintenance and repairs, that happens once a year. Vehicle fuel, that's pretty obvious. That is diesel, gasoline, the ambulance and the fire apparatus.
Electricity, you mentioned.
Yeah, electricity, it's the firehouse for the lights and air conditioning and so on.
Is the firehouse expense mainly your responsibility? Like if there was a repair to the firehouse, that would be the commission?
Probably, yeah. Sometimes the fire department will offset some of that if it's something that we need or if it's something that is something we can help with, yeah. But it's really the fire commission because it is part of our purview.
Dave, if you could just explain to me, to us, when you get an expense from the fire department, they need to buy something from a vendor. How does the process work by which they get paid?
They get paid.
Well, they present you with an invoice and you reimburse them and they pay the vendor, or do you pay the vendor directly, or how does it work?
We get the bill and at our meeting, our monthly meeting, we will review the bills. And then I'll sign off on them, and then they go to Michelle or whoever for payment.
And does the check that the town cuts go directly to the vendor, or does it reimburse the fire department?
I'll go right to the vendor.
Right
We,
to
the
the
town,
The town doesn't cut it.
no, they have their own, they pay their own bills.
It depends, because if it's fire commission, then that bill will get paid, when it gets paid through the fire commission, then that is actually Michelle who will cut that check. If it is a bill.
Town check?
Yeah.
Okay, so you serve so many jobs.
Some costs that go directly to the fire commission, they sign off on the bills. Sometimes if there's something that we get a grant where the fire department got the grant, sometimes the town reimburses the fire department. So it could be one of both ways.
Okay.
Or if, depending on what the bill is, it could also be a bill that is gonna be paid for by the fire department. And we have the same process. That bill will come to our monthly meeting. It will be reviewed, approved, and then we will ask the treasurer of the department to pay that bill, our funds.
So you guys, the fire department, have your own checking account, and you pay a lot,
Correct.
some of your own bills.
We do, yes.
Okay.
So, and we do have funds set up for specific costs within the fire department.
Okay.
Like the electricity and stuff, we know that this goes to Michelle, and we'll sign off on anything, and then she will do the putting of the check.
Right.
The other items, I'll just go through real quick here. Hydrants and water, we pay for the firehouse water usage out of the fire commission and the town fire hydrants, that is an expense as well. Communications, I'm going through the whole list. Like the cable, internet, radios, pagers, batteries, repairs, all those things for communication. And some of the stuff, it's sporadic, like pagers and radios. We purchase them as we need them or repair them. But there are some costs like the cable, internet, and so on, that we know pretty much what that is. Propane for the firehouse heat, cooking, and to run the emergency generator. And that runs once a month for, once a week for a little while, just to keep it exercise. Fire ponds, again, there's a line item for maintenance and repair of the 4 ponds in town. Building maintenance. Anything that needs to be repaired, garage doors, or something's leaking. Physicals, it's a required annual event for firefighters, particularly interior and fire police and EMS. It's important. And that's a little bit variable depending on how many members get through us, since we have some members who are dual departments, and sometimes we may not see an expense right away for that. And we get new members and so on. Training, firefighter training, firefighter 1, firefighter 2, fire police, hazmat, all that kind of thing. And insurance, again, another line item, building, all the apparatus and liability. And we review that every spring as well, because things change. So the insurance company will send us a review, questionnaire to be able to go through and make sure that we're compliant with all the items that they have. And technology, software, computer support, maintenance. And the last item is mileage. That's available to officers and members who go to trainings or meetings, they kind of reimburse some of their, fuel and so on.
Do we get a breakdown? I remember when I was on the commission, there was a breakdown sheet. Do we still get that?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I just.
But I mean, is there one that we could get for the Board of Finance?
Did we get a breakdown when we appropriated the $112,000? I think that's what it was.
we did.
Did we get a breakdown?
This is just a sample of the page.
Okay, all right.
We're talking about making sure that we get.
Right.
More detail, figure out we don't have
All
to
right.
detail well. Yeah. I just was understanding, and I appreciate you going through it because it's understanding the interoperability is important for us and others who might be interested.
Can I just say one thing, playing a different hat as emergency management? Firehouse is also our emergency operations center and our emergency shelter, which is something that the town has to provide to the community. So some of those bills are also part of that.
Part of the fire commission?
Yes, yeah, to supply that building for emergencies if we were to have another October snowstorm or something where we have a shelter. The town has to provide that to our community, so our building falls under that too.
I have a couple of other questions, Dave, just a few, but one of the other people put their questions, and I want to be the only one talking here.
I mean, I mainly was trying to get some education and understanding, so you're helping, I mean, I did share with everyone, I did find the 2022 990, then shared it with the members, that was available.
But isn't that for the fire department?
Right. It is,
Yes.
but it's also, since we're talking we're also appropriating funds to the capital towards your purchases and equipment purchases.
Right, but isn't
Through
that
that.
fire commission?
That's not we have the fire commission, and then we have our separate
Fire
reserve funds, special reserve funds, I guess.
Non-recurring.
Non-recurring, yeah, and those. That's the right word. So those are getting to the point that we're also, as a town, putting money towards those, and I believe, and was one of my other questions was, we may, as a town, put 50,000 towards 100,000 expense, and you may then.
Yes, actually, the last three actually, the truck we just built, our truck, we financed that all ourselves.
Okay.
The last two big trucks, we bought used.
Yeah.
And the town, I believe, paid some of engine 6, right?
I believe they did.
I think so. The tanker, we bought on our own. So we've tried to kind of stay out of that as much as we can, but.
Okay.
That's just, we've been lucky, we found the right vehicles at the right time to save money.
Mhm.
And it's been less than a quarter the price of a new one for those.
If I might ask a question, Matt, excuse me, as an ex officio member here, but obsolescence. Okay, what is the life of an ambulance? What is the life of a piece of fire apparatus according to the state and to OSHA?
According to the state, an ambulance is 10 years.
So if we had
The last ambulance we ran for 20 years because we don't put it through the abuse that some of them do, so it lasts longer. Right now, our current ambulance is 10 years old this year. So it's at that point where next year we're gonna start to put together a list to build a new one. So that's coming up, and that'll be $400,000 because they go up so fast, you can't even keep up with it.
So Norfolk
And-
just
and-
paid 450,000
Right.
for their ambulance.
Right.
And there's a 2-year wait time after you've spec it out to get it, so I would anticipate an increase even at that.
And I know that Litchfield, having a friend with Litchfield, they paid about 450,000 a year ago, and if you've been following the news, they're building a new ambulance garage also to house their ambulances. But my other question would be, just as a follow-up, Chief, is obsolescence on the fire apparatus. I'm not talking about the ambulance, but I'm talking about the big red truck.
And that's on paper the same thing. It should be every 10 years. We know that's never gonna happen. And really, the shape our trucks are in, it doesn't need to happen that often.
Okay.
So that's why we found a couple of used ones that were in really good shape. One guy, it was a private fire department, and he got away from that, so when the truck he just like changed and we got a good deal. And our tanker truck actually came from Sandy Hook. And the town of Newtown has a replacement plan. The truck was up to go, and the guys in the department were heartbroken that they sold it. And it was to wish they still had it, so that one was a good buy.
Okay, thank you.
And that's part of the maintenance and, you know, the yearly maintenance, it goes, the trucks go, once a year. For the maintenance, the inspections and all that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not that you guys want, or you guys, the fire department wants to change them. You have certain inspection specs,
Yeah.
state specs that you have to meet.
Yep.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons we replaced, engine 6 was, the fact that it was 40 years old now. We couldn't get parts for it anymore.
And you
The truck
can
was
make,
still in beautiful. But the fact that you can't buy the parts,
Catches
that
fire.
kind of determines it's time.
So if I could follow up on that, if you're looking out into the future, say 5 years, I know this is just a wild guess at this point, but how much money would you expect to have to expend on ambulances, fire trucks, et cetera?
So, John, we actually kind of, I'm gonna tell this story now. That's fine.
Yeah, so the first, in 3 to 5 years, tanker should be replaced or whatever we do with it. So, yeah, we could possibly refurbish it, but who knows by then, because that's 1986, we'll play that one year. But Lakeville has a truck on order right now, a tanker truck for 550,000. And Sharon just got one last year that was 587,000.
Okay.
So that's coming up, and then 10 years after that, we would plan to replace our engine 9, which is 2009. And Goshen has a truck on order right now that they paid, they prepaid to get a savings on it, $945,000.
and then when do you need to replace that?
That would be in 13 to 15 years.
Okay.
So rather soon, you're gonna have to replace a tanker at a cost of 500 to 600,000 bucks.
Correct. So by then, who knows?
Right. And looking further down the road, it's another 10 years where you're gonna have to make a major expenditure.
Yeah, we
roughly.
try to stretch it out as far as we can.
Okay. So I noticed from the form that was submitted for 2022 to the Internal Revenue Service. At the end of that year, you folks, and this was really one of I want to say something in preface too. I don't think we recommended any reduction in the, I don't remember doing any reduction in the fire department budget that was presented to us. So it's not as though we looked at the fire department and said, you guys are wasting money. We just wanted to educate ourselves a little bit. Now, there's, at the end of 2022, there's a little over $700,000 in cash reserves. I don't know what that is at the end of 2023 because we don't have that report. But you'll end up burning through most of that. It sounds
Most
like.
of that is earmarked for other things.
That's-
It's in different funds, so 194,000 is in the building fund, which can only be used for that. So major expense, we actually have to change the grease traps in the septic system because the one that they put in when they built the building just doesn't work. There's EMS checking that can only be spent on EMS supplies because the Medicare rules of the building. There's a car show account that has separate money in it. There's an ambulance replacement fund, which we're trying to put our own money in also. So that has like $150,000 in there. So a lot of that money doesn't really go towards the next apparatus, just.
So what will you do when the time comes to get the tanker? Where's the money come from?
That's what the town reserves should be able to reserve up reserve account.
What do anybody know what the size of that reserve account is?
Yeah, it's not very much. Fairly. Ambulance and then fire truck.
It's less than $100,000.
And ambulance, look at ambulance, it's
Oh, ambulance. Oh,
Is it truck is also for you?
No. Need 2 fire truck.
There's a fire truck reserve of 93,000.
And an ambulance.
Ambulance reserve of 38,000. So $130,000 or so between them.
Is there another
So,
one? So there's this fire truck up here.
Oh, this one up here.
177,000.
Which
Oh,
one
another
is
one?
that?
Up at the top, there's a
So 177.
I'm looking at the balance
under,
sheet. It's
yep,
not in
it's
the,
on the balance sheet, under Salisbury Bank and Trust, not, it's.
Oh, I
NBC
see.
now.
Fire
Yep, so
truck
there's one
reserve.
Fire truck reserve there. And then there's
Another one.
Torrington Savings Bank one, 93,000, which
Right.
I think at the time was set up for both engines, one and one. And then there's the ambulance reserve.
so 3 lines, right, in the reserves?
Yeah.
so if you look at the cash reserves on the annual filing with Internal Revenue Service, that's a number, and a good chunk of that number is earmarked for other stuff. And then in addition to the cash reserves, you have money someplace else that's in an ambulance reserve or a truck reserve or something like that.
That's in them.
Within
It's in
that
that
700.
It's within the set.
Yes.
So you're gonna have a crunch, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So what happens? What have you?
Longer than they should, and we want used ones to kind of try to money, save money so that we don't have to come to you guys and say, listen, we need $1 million. Which, I mean, if we don't find the right used truck, we're gonna have to someday, so we try really hard not to,
Right.
but the town has the reserves for it, so. Really, it should have enough to replace the truck, but it never will, which I understand, that's a lot of money.
Well, this sounds like a fairly serious problem for the town to contend with.
Potentially, yes.
Um,
It looks like your department has been saving the town money for a very long
So
time.
how-
We try,
Our brush truck is just our brush truck was just replaced with 1965, so we're running as long as we can.
And the truck that Brian replaced was 1986.
Yeah. Yep.
Tim the Wizard.
Do you, and this is 15-year plan?
Yeah, I just.
That, yeah, I know. That's what the framework is.
And it's important to understand that although the ambulance is billing at this time, billing for service at this time. We really are restricted on what that money can be spent on, because it cannot go towards anything fire related. So
All
only
focused
pay
on the
for
ambulance.
education for ambulance. They can only pay for ambulance supplies, not fire department supplies. You really even get into a sticky wicket if you start letting it pay a percentage of building costs and things. That really opens you up for a Medicare audit that we're not interested
Do you
in.
have any filings that you do as a biller for CMS, Medicaid? Do you have any filings that you have to do for state or?
That's a question.
We have to, treasurer for the fire department, we have to file annually, with Medicare.
Yep.
What comes in, what we spend it on.
Yeah.
And that goes for all of our EMS trainings.
Mhm.
EMS training does not get billed to the fire commission at all. That all comes out of, and then we take what we make, we have a little cushion, and we throw it into the ambulance savings account to build up so we can buy a new ambulance.
And there's a lot of education that the ambulance personnel have to attend,
Oh, yeah.
and it gets very expensive. So people are
helpful. But including the Board of Finance, if you folks could put together like a one-pager. This is the money we have set aside. It's 710 or whatever it is. This is where we see it going in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. So we have a sense if you're gonna hit a financial wall, that we know it's coming. And maybe there's something that can be done about it before it hits.
I guess, John, I'd like that document to look a little different than that. I'd be happy to provide you with the plan of what we need to replace and what we think that that's going to cost. Because I can't really
would be difficult to say for sure how much money we would have to put towards. I mean, we know what we have to put towards the ambulance, but not really what we would have to put towards fire trucks at this time. Mostly because we don't know what some of our other expenses are going to be, and sometimes, you know, you have a piece of apparatus that breaks down, it gets really expensive, or we, you know, don't pass our ladder test, or they change the hose that we have to have. You know, those are things that we would have to come up with. This year we were really lucky, we had 5 people go to fire school. Well, that really reduced our, you know, the balance of our savings, because we had to outfit them all with fire gear at $4,500 a person. You know, so we can't really say how much we would have or what that would look like, but we can certainly tell you what our replacement plan is as far as years and what kind of expense we would look at if we did it today.
Yeah, that's fine.
Does that seem fair?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
seems fair. And I think as a board of
Also, that
finance
stuff goes
going.
up so fast.
Right.
Right.
Actually, I know from being a member of Sharon also, the price of the truck went up after the contract even because materials are so crazy right now.
Right.
Can I say one thing? So I've looked at this, the budget we have, there's many things that the fire commission will purchase or try to supplement, like Andrew talking about, turnout gear. We will buy turnout gear as much as we can within our budget, and then the fire department will
Save on us.
think about it
To
and
be
do what we
balanced.
can. Like even extrication equipment, we were lucky to get.
Yeah, we got a large donation from somebody that passed away.
But that was a lot of money too, we would have been.
Yeah, that was $40,000 worth of equipment for the
We were
truck.
fortunate,
But you try to save from them digging into their coffers by using your budget.
as much as we can, yeah.
Right.
Cause it doesn't take long to go through, equipment, $11,000, you know, sets of turnout gear, and then you got.
Yeah.
What is that?
Nothing in the fire service is inexpensive.
Yeah, you make a reasonable price, quadruple it because it says emergency on it.
Correct. I just have a couple of fire commission versus fire department expenses. When the Form 990 is prepared for Internal Revenue Service for the fire department, does that reflect the contribution that the town via the fire commission makes to the fire department, or is that completely off?
Separate.
Completely. And same thing with the expenses that the fire commission defrays,
Yes.
that's off the 990. Okay, then I just have these 2 questions. On the 990, there's something, and I don't know that this really bears that much, but I'm just curious. There's an occupancy expense for the building. What is that? It's a pretty sizable number. It was over
All
$50,000.
the utilities, probably insurance.
Well, I no, those were separate.
Oh, what's the accountant?
I-
You know, and they put it together. I honestly don't.
Do you know what it represents? I mean, is it a cash outlay or what is it? It's reflected as an expense on the 990 and it just says occupancy.
I can't
Okay.
figure out the top of my head. John.
Okay, and the other thing was, where do the cell tower fees fit into all of this? Do they come to the town? Do they go to the fire department?
They go to the fire department and they go into the building fund, I believe, or.
So they're accounted for as revenues to the fire department on the 990?
Yes.
Okay. If you learn anything about that, Linda, will you let us know?
Yeah, 'cause I don't know that. You know what page it was?
Yeah, it's on page, I think it's page 10, and it just says occupancy. And it's $55,000 for 2022. And the revenues, you know, they're not broken down a whole hell of a lot. There's government grants of $13,000, and then there's all other contributions, gifts, grants, and similar amounts not included above $290,000. So would the cell tower fees be part of that? All right, thank you.
I think in 22, we were recipients close to $250,000 from the state.
It's a big cash
Yeah,
jump.
so that's
Right.
why in 22, we had.
That was an unusual.
Yeah,
Right.
you won't see that, right.
Wish-
Fire used theirs
By, you guys start with the trucks, the brush cutters.
And then the trucks,
We
like,
hours, the ambulance, goes through the ambulance.
right,
I have a question, a little naive, but I don't know, I remember long ago, I did some very modest, collaborative work with you on getting FEMA grants for things. Do you guys attempt to get grants for trucks and stuff, or is it like totally unrealistic to try that? I know we got it for equipment one
So,
year.
we were recently told that we should, I mean, we had tried in the past without success, but we have been told that, they won't even look at small, town fire departments anymore, because they figure they're getting donations and they're going to all the big cities. So we've been told not to even apply,
Critical mass, yeah.
so.
Okay. I was just curious.
If I might make one suggestion, Madam Chairman, okay? The best way to understand any of our emergency services here is to get involved. Okay, and you get a very unique understanding of how they operate, what they do on a day-to-day basis, their funding. You really get inside. So I would invite any member of the Board of Finance to sign up.
And also, Dave, there's a place for people like me.
Auxiliary.
And even for me.
So we can do other things for the fire department. I belong to the fire department for 21 years, so.
Right.
Yeah. And during that time, what I do is write thank you notes and we depend on a lot of donations and we don't get a lot. There's often campaigns to try to solicit donations, but sometimes we appreciate anything that we get. Some people can't afford a whole lot, but there is something I would suggest that anybody in the town, especially people on the Board of Finance, contribute a little something to help out the fire department. I think that's really important because you have a lot of people, past, present, and hopefully future. Who give an awful lot of time to the fire department. I'm sure Matt can tell you, and Michelle can tell you when her dad was fire chief. I can tell you when my husband was fire chief. This is not a job for the faint. It can be as much as 30 hours a week volunteer time. Never mind what you have to, what you have to do if you actually have to fight a fire or call on an ambulance call. So I think from my perspective, the town is extremely lucky to have such dedication of our department. And we look for any support that we can get.
And we will be having a big appeal. The beginning of November. End of your donation.
It's the right thing to go to do. But being volunteer, John, of course, we do depend on the graciousness and the donations of folks in and out of town, actually, because we do go on mutual aid calls. And also LCD, which hasn't been mentioned here. They are connected to the fire department. I've been doing that for LCD representative now for a long time. I get too old to do it anymore.
Litchfield County does that.
Litchfield County Dispatch, I'm sorry. So there's lots of different ways that things come to the fire department that have to be done that people don't know about.
Right.
The general public, meaning people.
And just so you know, the fire department has applied for the forestry grant successfully many years. We don't always get it, but we have gotten it many years, and that's replaced a lot of our hose and Indian tanks and radios and pagers and things. And so that's been very helpful to us. We do take advantage of grants that we know that we can, on the Northwest Connecticut. We've gotten money from them in the past, so we do apply for grants when they are available. And just so you know, their LCD is changing their radio system, which means that we are going to have to completely revamp all of our radios. Some of our radios we will be able to reprogram, but we will also have to buy a lot of new radios.
Most of those radios that we have, we bought off grant with Kurt with the chief.
Wow. Yeah, time ago, Kurt has been chief, you know, what? We also had to change the way we do our physicals, because Concentra could no longer support us the way that we were doing them in the past, so we had to go to a new company, and so that pretty much doubled the cost of our physicals this year. So as you can see, things are very expensive.
And unpredictable.
And unpredictable. We, you know, we continue to try, we collaborated with other departments on the physical so that we could reduce the cost.
And a lot of it's mandated by the state.
Yes.
Have to go back. Yeah. Way around it.
And OSHA is changing the physical requirements, so we expect another federal OSHA, which means OSHA has to follow, is changing some of their requirements on physicals for EMS, which is going to make those physicals more expensive than what they had been in the past. So, and these are just all unfunded mandates. You know, there's very little that we can do about that, except to talk to our legislators.
And it was quickly too, because we were planning to do physicals like last year, and all of a sudden, no, we can't do it that way anymore.
Right, exactly.
So it's really quick.
And I can't imagine what it would cost if you weren't all volunteers.
Super for you too.
So great, so grateful.
Well, Sharon Ambulance has gone to paid Monday through Friday, 12 days a week for their ambulance, sorry, for their ambulance service. And they're going to extend it now to 7 days a week. But it costs for 12 hours a day, $961.54 per day.
Yep.
For 2 people, 12 hours. So there's just to stop the
Just
department,
and you can't do it with 2 people.
It's Sharon's, the use of Sharon the ambulance.
yeah. And equipment and their supplies.
Just the people.
That's just the personal cost. So they're looking at over $700,000. Huge expenditure.
They still have to buy the ambulance.
Yeah.
They still have to buy the ambulance, they still have to provide supplies, they have to provide a place for the staff to stay. I will tell you that NPP is a commercial agency, BLS ambulance, 24/7, we do provide the ambulance. We're getting $1 million.
Yeah. So, another naive, have you ever done a GoFundMe campaign for a big equipment purchase? Would you ever consider exploring it?
Existed the last time we needed to do a big equipment.
It's something you would possibly explore
We're open to all options.
if volunteers help.
Yeah.
We have to have 2000 ambulance. We had a big rib barbecue. Louis made a barbecue.
I
went to that
Twice.
It was at 7 and 126.
Yeah.
Yep, it was really good.
We are very fortunate, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We should respect them.
One last, this is a broad-based question. Do you folks explore the extent to which you can pool some of these expenses with the neighboring towns? Is that something that has been explored? Is it feasible?
What?
Well, I'm not sure.
Equipment, some of the trainers.
There's mutual.
Physical, so that one.
What about the big equipment? Is that-
Well, I would say like not every department needs a ladder truck. Right?
Right.
So we don't need a ladder truck. Cause our neighbors have a ladder truck.
And you've got access to it if you need it?
Yes.
And don't we have like what the special boat
Right.
that other people borrow?
Well, they don't borrow it, we would have to take it,
But-
yes.
But mutual aid, we are in a mutual aid compact. We have MOUs with all the surrounding towns to respond if
And to share
and
important.
to share resources, staffing, manpower and equipment. So
Right, so we do have, like, there's a regional dive team. Okay, it's primarily housed on Goshen, but members from all departments can train with them and be part of that dive team. We have a swiftwater rescue team, that's in Cornwall. So anybody can train with them and be part of that, but it is housed in Cornwall.
There is a ropes, regional ropes team.
Which everyone is familiar with because of the fall.
But that is actually housed in Lakeville. Well, we have lots of people on our department who are members of that. So we do for special resources like that. It is all collaborative and within the region. Also, the county chiefs get together and we have what do you guys call it?
Zone chiefs.
Zone chiefs, and they do collaborate on services, training, buying equipment. So nothing's kind of done independently and in a vacuum. It's all done on a regional level.
Okay, thank you. It's been very helpful to me, so I just want to say thank you on behalf of.
Really helpful.
I would also
Thank you.
like to invite anyone from the Board of Finance to come down on a Thursday night when we do our training from 7 to 9. We'd be happy to give a tour, kind of the back door tour, and show you around and explain exactly what it is that we're doing and a little bit more about how we function.
That's 7 to 9 on Thursdays?
Yeah.
Every Thursday?
Yes, yep.
And to contact, who do you contact if you want to get involved? Anybody? Anybody?
The guy in the red shirt.
She has a bit lots.
Good.
And we do have lots of kind of jobs. If someone wants to do data entry, somebody wants to do fire police, you don't have to take a fire EMS class. We have other jobs that can be done.
And that are helpful, yeah.
That are very helpful.
I remember making sandwiches during a fire one night.
Yeah,
Lots of sandwiches.
The ladies auxiliary, which is not an institution, is connected. Yeah, it's very helpful when there's something big.
Bad fire.
There should be a fire to support.
yeah.
It's very helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
Thank you all. I really appreciate it. I know it was a little more time, I think, but it was helpful.
If you think of any more questions, just email or contact us about.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay. Schedule of, we'll move on to old business. Keep things moving. Schedule of meetings and commissions. I know, John, you had talked about having some ideas. I didn't know if you had something we
What made the most sense to me was to have one agency at a meeting and most, so I think they'd be less time consuming. So I would propose that we ask folks from the Recreation Commission to come to our next meeting and tell us about their spending history and their needs. I know they've had to overspend the last couple of years, so I'd like to get a sense of whether they're asking for enough money. Because I think we always extend the supplemental appropriations they ask for. Maybe their budget's too low, but that's the one I would propose for the next meeting.
Are you in agreement?
I am, you need a motion.
Right.
Okay, I move to invite the representatives from the Recreation Commission to come to our next meeting and to explain a little bit to us about what their expenses are.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Just that, I can see the value of doing possibly a little bit with the fire department, and maybe we'll discover that with other departments, but the fire department is like an independent service, as you said, that works very independently. The other departments, I really feel confident in the Board of Selectmen answering the questions that, for instance, the one that John just asked. So that's just during discussion, I'm just sharing my point of view.
To vote?
So any other discussion? If not,
If I may reiterate what I said earlier. Again, the Board of Selectmen are the executive authority and the buck stops with us.
Can I address the committee? You're right, the buck stops the Board of Selectmen. However, we have 200 members of the Board of
Who's speaking
Selectmen
now?
that could talk.
Chris Kinsella.
Chris Gonzalez.
Oh, hi, Chris. Okay,
Representative
because
from-
I can't see you, so.
Could you say that again, Chris? I didn't hear it because of what was going on here.
Okay, I think that, Judy and I, both Judy and I could probably, Ben and Dave too, you've been through a number of them. Judy and I think could benefit from, this exercise. I've learned a real lot, tonight with the fire, department and, I would like to hear the questions asked of the board of, the rec commission.
During your meeting or during one of ours?
I think all of us can, we can all, survive, the same meeting,
Okay. Thank you.
Can I call for a vote on this?
Yes, I'm voting, all those in favor?
Could she read the motion again, please?
John made a motion to invite the Recreation Commission to the next Board of Finance meeting to discuss their budget needs.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Me, nay.
So roll call. Steve.
Aye.
Amy.
Nay.
John.
Aye.
Carol.
Aye.
I'm gonna say aye.
Okay, great. I have Ted's email address, which I can give it to you. Please invite him. It's good.
Filling a vacancy for alternates. Do we have any?
I have a few feelers out, but I don't have any answers yet. I don't know if other people do or not.
I do not at this time.
Okay.
I don't at this time either.
I don't think there's a big rush. Just remind me, for a Board of Finance meeting, we need 4 voting members present, right?
Right.
Okay, and we have 6 members right now.
We can only go 3 alternates, so.
Right, and we have 2 alternates right now.
Right. Yes, right.
We would ideally want 3, yeah. Okay, thanks. I just wanted to remind myself about that.
I do have a
Okay.
question regarding that. Does it have to be from the party that Ginger was a Democrat for all intents and purposes? Does the alternate have to be a Democrat?
I think we determined at the last meeting.
I
that
can't
it
remember.
did.
That's why I'm asking.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Or unaffiliated.
Or unaffiliated.
Yes.
Yes. And the next is a Board of Finance policies. I don't know if anybody has, I have not had a chance to
It
do
was
it. I was
Steve.
gonna-
Yeah.
Steve was gonna look into some.
Yeah, I've looked. I've talked to people, that were on the board 30 years ago. Nobody can remember any list of policies or
Official.
official.
No documents or book, but I did hear that a few people remember policies being approved, right?
Yeah,
But not like in a
what they,
book.
what
or
they would do is, policies or resolutions would be, listed in the minutes.
Did-
So if you have to go back through all the minutes to, and one person I mentioned to, he said, I said, oh, how come you didn't have you didn't have a list, you didn't have it? He said, we didn't have any problems. Everybody worked together. We worked for a common cause. He says, I don't know what the heck's going on with you guys now. That's what he told me. And I just said, we're working it out. But anyway, I could talk to 2 people 30, 40 years ago, and they were on the board and they come up with nothing. I did talk to, actually,
Did I give you
yes, you did.
some?
Do you have that down?
Yeah, I can get it.
I've got it in my stack here somewhere.
Okay. See, because I passed on what I'd been given.
I do recall that one.
Yeah, one was a policy of this board that alternates should be seated at the table so that they could participate in discussions even though they did not vote. So that's been a longstanding policy that has been in practice. That was one that was recalled. And then another that was recalled, and sorry, Linda, but I think you might be able to help a little bit more with this, was here it is. Around 2019 or earlier, the Board of Finance voted that the treasurer should notify the Board of Finance if a line in the budget was over or going to go over. And he thought it was something like more than 10% or $500 over, and that the treasurer would notify the Board of Finance. And this was intended to reduce the surprises at the end of the fiscal year and to give the Board of Finance a chance to hear why the line went over. Yeah, so that was what this person had recalled.
There's actually a printed copy of that trade.
That would be handy.
Michelle had it in
Manual.
I apologize, that was back when
2019, 2000.
Yeah, it was about that time, and down on Warren Turnpike, he was on.
Joel.
I'm sorry. It was
his
he was on
recommendation.
the Board of Finance, because I remember going over with him about the percentages of what made sense. I mean, you don't want to come over, it's gonna be $50 over. It seems silly, but it would be $5,000 over. You know, and then there was some departments that were exempt, such as the highway department, the fire commission. Were exempt from those percentages per se, but I had always let the Board of Finance know if a line for the department was gonna go over and why.
I remember.
So,
and actually, you know, I think that, I think it is a good idea to have a central folder, whether it be digital or physical or both, of policies, because it's a great orientation. And at the beginning of a fiscal year, when you have new board or after an election, it's great for not just new members, but while orienting new members to remind current members too of, don't forget these, you know, our policies, and they support the work that we're doing. So I don't think it's a bad idea. And
Resolutions that we have been by predecessors.
Right, for good reason.
For good reason, as long as they haven't been revoked.
Right.
They would be appropriately.
Right.
So.
And I know John had also reminded us that there was a policy, it was during a meeting I wasn't at, but that we not, can you restate
Yeah,
it?
we adopted a policy, not to let the general fund drop below 15% of our, I think it was 15.
Or 12.
I think, but I'm not sure, below 12. But we did
Percentage.
we
right.
did adopt a policy, and
That's
I don't
the
know if
third-
it ended up in the minutes. I don't think we created a separate writing.
Right, and
We
that's
probably
okay.
should.
But we should.
We should. Yeah.
I think it's really a great reference to have it supportive of what we do, because it can get, you know, we can get lost.
May I
easily.
suggest that we put that on the agenda for the next meeting, and we can just identify the policies that we want to reduce the writing?
Absolutely.
So we have 3 right now that have been discovered. And maybe if you could send that
Sure.
to us, that's the one that is in writing. Yeah.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you. Any suspense items? New business? I didn't have anything. Any other business before the board? And then our public comment to follow up.
I say something. Go ahead. I think it's great that you want to know more about the boards and commissions. I think the best way for you to understand more about how they operate is to actually go to one of their meetings. I think it's all well and good to get more information here. But if you have meetings, you can see in action, exactly what is happening. And maybe you can split it up some way amongst yourself, to do that at some point. That's just
It's a good suggestion.
I think it would be a good idea. Personally, they've got on the board of selectmen for 22 years, I think it was. That, the more you go to the meetings of the folks, of the boards and commissions, which you have to make a determination about their budget come the new year. So that you can see them in action and what some of them have to deal with. And of course, the Board of Education is a little bit different animal, because we have a completely, statutorily, what we have to do is completely.
But the workshops are very helpful.
Yeah. We work very hard, to present to you, but I think it would be a good idea for you guys. Whether to split that up, however you think you might want to do it, is to actually go and keep in mind what Dave said, that the Board of Selectmen is the executive authority.
Thank you.
Ditto. I've been going to all the meetings and zooming the meetings, and I've learned so much just by doing that. And I can't really recommend it enough. Go attend the meetings. It's planning and zoning. You learn so much, and the Recreation Commission. It's really good. It's good information. And instead of dragging them in to do that, you should be going to them.
And I just piggyback on all this too, but listening to the fire department and the cost to do this, if we were to hire them, most of our organizations, if you will, in town are volunteers, without whom this town would collapse. And I think we should be more respectful to them and get involved and show up to their meetings instead of dragging them here, taking up time. Get involved and see what they actually do. Go to their events, but I be respectful of them and thank them.
Hi, thanks, Catherine. I like to try to communicate about what's going on. I've been grateful to Vermont for 30 years. I'm on clubhouse.com. Has everybody ever heard of that? It's a whole lot for it. It's like Facebook, except it's talking. There's a lot of people are talking, and I've heard something called Ruby, AI. And there was a big forum, a Solidarity forum about AI coming to our school systems. You're not going to get away from it. So I think a lot of what we just experienced here, you can have a transcript from AI to summarize the highlights. And it's creepy, I know. I don't like AI. But there's counseling like AI. You don't have to go to any person and you just ask your question, menbalance.me. I can tell people 100 resources. They're all on my blog. I tell people journal about Clubhouse, and I'm just one person. I'm getting a little bit older, so I really think we need to include the young people, if possible, at the high school. And I remember, won't drop names, but one of the nice kids from Shannon wanted to be a fire committee at college, liberal college, because we had a fire department or something. So I don't know, maybe with FFA we could include basics, we need caregiving. We need to prevent about 50% of the calls. I'm just pulling a number from there, but I'm a caregiver. People fall, same people fall. You've heard from a lot of people in the department. So, care about people's needs and prevent the harm. And I'll just imagine 20 years ago, I wrote we should have 5-year-olds go to kindergarten. And now that's the state law because of so I might be 10, 20 years ahead, only because there's so many people I've listened to, and I'm trying to make it easier for everybody, believe it or not. And it's not easy to be a caregiver. I'm just warning. But we all need those skills, CNA training, And that's kind of a nice segue to saying, oh, maybe I can be running first aid and the AED, but, you know, CPR, it's the basics. So I'm always available, almost 24/7, but online. And but I'd like to prevent a whole lot of these problems from happening. So, thank you.
Hi, so, I'm regretful that I have to bring this up again, but there was, the last meeting, John made the comment that Carol's comment to Michelle was made in jest and that they both laughed about it, but, the time that was not in jest. And Michelle's not laughing about it. And I just feel like she really deserves an apology for the way that she was treated. And so, if the comment was made publicly, so I'm gonna ask for the apology publicly.
Well, I would move that if there is a motion, move that the Board of Finance apologize on behalf of our whole body. Because we're all responsible for our combined, comportment. So it's just a motion that, that we extend an apology to you for that. Regardless of its intent, it can be, you never know how it's received. So it might not have been intended, but it was received that way because things can be very tense at times. So it's a motion.
I'll second the motion.
We're in public comment right now.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know if you can make a motion then. Okay. Well,
But we should certainly, you can certainly take it up for the list.
okay.
Any other?
I have one. I mean, I've sat through all of these meetings for a couple of years now. And I've never seen a Board of Finance spend so much time on a budget than these guys. Hours and hours and hours going through every single line item. And the end result was to try and humanize the budget and understand it better so that they made sure the departments and the commissions and the libraries and the fire departments were taken care of. And the Board of Finance understood their needs. And it was unanimous decision, which was great, I thought. Being a numbers person, you humanize a budget. But I'm sensing that, like a lot of other things, it's resented. And I don't know how it gets twisted into that. It certainly didn't come across that way in any meeting I was in. The questions are good ones. Humanize the budget, understand what the needs are. John mentioned the rec commission. If they're under budgeting and they need more funds, now's the time. Let's understand what they do. So I'm not sure how it's getting twisted to a controlling who controls what and a resentment issue when it's all education and respectful. If anything, it's more respectful than anything that's happened in the past. So I just don't understand. Anyone else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Chat. All in favor?
Aye.
John, eight. Yes. Did you second?
Yeah.
Yeah, please, thank you.
But that's not the most we all have.
Usually is.
You know,